Hello, welcome to Jennifer's Magical Book Club. Today I'm going to read a novel which is called The Paperboy. So I'll start from chapter 1. Chapter 1. I'm typing about the stabbing for a good reason. I can't talk without stuttering. Plus, I promised Ma'am I would never tell what happened to my yellow handle knife. Ma'am might say that typing is cheating, but I need to see the words on paper to make sure everything happened the way my brain remembers it. I trust words on paper a lot more than words in the air. The funny way I talk is not so much like fat pigs in cartoons as I just get stuck on a sound and try to push the word out. Sometimes it comes out after a little pushing, but other times I turn red in the face and lose my breath and get dizzy circles going around in my head. There's not much I can do about it except think of another word or keep on pushing. The lady my parents hired to show me how to talk is teaching me to use a trick she calls gentle air, which means letting out a little of my breath before getting stuck on a word. So when I feel like I'm going to have trouble saying a word, I try to sneak up on it by making a hissing noise. When you are 11 years old, it's better to be called a snake than a retard. Some days, if I've been stuck on a bunch of words at school, I'll come home and put a piece of notebook paper in the typewriter that someone from my father's office brought to our house a long time ago and forgot to take back, the same one I'm typing these words on now. I pack out the words that gave me the most trouble for the day. My hands know where the letters are and I don't have to think up different tricks to help me push out a word. I like the sound the typewriter key makes when it smacks the black ribbon because it's always the same. I never know what kinds of sounds are going to come out of my mouth, if anything happens to come out at all. Just so you know, I hate commas. I leave them out of my typing anytime I think I can get away with it. My composition teacher said a comma meant it was time for a pause. I pause all the time when I'm trying to talk whether I want to or not. Humongous pauses. I would rather type a gazillion and then a little comma. I type so much in my room that the white letters are wearing off the typewriter keys. But the key with the comma on it looks brand new, and it can stay that way if you ask me. Ma'am came to Memphis from Mississippi when I was 5 to live with us and help take care of me, and one thing's for sure, I wouldn't have made in this fur without her. Ma'am's real name is Miss Nellie Evans. My mom told me to call her Miss Nellie, but that didn't work for me because of the N sound coming after the M sound. Ma'am was as close as I could come to saying her name, and she allowed as how that suited her fine. She said that we made a good pair because she couldn't write very well and I had the best handwriting she had ever seen for a little man. That's what he called me from the first day that she came to live with us, little men. Ma'am is my best friend in all the world except when it comes to playing ball, and then Rhett takes over. His real name is Ert. He had it written in easy-to-read letters on his catcher's mitt on the first day of third grade. But I had to nickname him Rat because the sound wasn't going to come out of my mouth that day without giving me a bunch of trouble. He allowed us how Rat was okay with him, and that made me like him from the start. He didn't even look like a rat, but he understood quicker than most kids that Rat was the best I could do on his name. Because of the easy R sound, Ma'am calls him Mr. Rat, which always cracks me up. My stuttering probably makes me the best nicknamer in Memphis. One of my hurt baseball throws busted Rhett in the mouth on the last day of 6th grade. That's the reason I told him I would handle his paper route for July so he could visit his grandparents on their farm outside Memphis. I didn't much want to take on the route, but I thought I owed it to Rat for busting his lip. Rat says I show off too much with my hurt throws, and I guess he's right, and I needed to pay for it. The paper route was where I met all the new people in my life and where all the bad stuff happened. And some good stuff too. At least I think it was good. I am still trying to figure all of it out, and I'm hoping that putting the words on paper will help. I knew I would like the drawing part of the paper route because drawing is what I do best. Baseballs, rocks, dirt clods, newspapers, anything. But it was no big secret that the thing worrying me the most was collecting the money for the newspapers each week on Friday nights. The idea of going up to a house and ringing the doorbell was swelling my insides. The reason I hate talking to people who don't know me is because when they first see me, I look like every other kid. 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, crew-cut hair, nothing special. But when I open my mouth, I turn into something else. Most people don't take the time to try to understand what's wrong with me and probably just figure I'm not right in the head. They try to get rid of me as fast as possible. The best thing I could do when my insides get nervous was talk to Ma'am, who lives over the garage in back of our house. From our kitchen, I saw her light was still on. I knew she was probably reading her Bible, except she really didn't read it as much as just look at it. She had taught me to say the 23rd psalm with her, and she would move her finger along the sentences, but it never came out exactly with the words we were saying. I climbed the steps and knocked my special knock on her door, the one that sounds like shave and a haircut 2 bits. What you want, little man? Need to talk. We'll talk a spell, but then you have to get back onto the house for bed. Ma'am knew that collecting for the paper route was a heavy weight pushing down on me, but she also knew I liked to beat around the bush before talking about something important. Do you ever have a feeling that something bad is going to happen? Some little men, where I growed up in Coldwater, we had an old man who made a living out of telling the future. Tell me about him. This old man with a curly white beard told the future by pitching animal bones and then paying mind to how they landed. Folks said it was blasphemy to hit that beardly old man, but he never told me wrong. What did he tell? He told me my elder brother was going to come to Herm. That summer, my brother John drowned in Coldwater Creek with not a teacup of water in it. How did he drown? Nobody knows. The doctor said there was more water in the sweet boy's lung than that ditch. I finally got around to telling Ma'am that I thought I would like the throwing part of Rat's newspaper route, but the collecting part on Friday was messing me up on my insides. I'll go collecting with you. Need to do it on my own. You be growing up, little man. I's proud of you. Ma'am said she had to do a little more cleanup in the kitchen and that she would go back to the house with me. I knew the only reason she said that was because she wanted to make sure I didn't get down in the dumps. My father Bick was coming up the drive as we went in the kitchen door. Ma'am waited for him and held open the door when she saw he was getting his big briefcases out of the back seat. What you think about little man's paper route, Mr. V? My father looked at me and smiled. I'm sure he'll throw those newspapers as well as he throws a baseball. I had told my father earlier that I thought I might take on the route, and he said it was good that I was going to help out a friend. Ma'am and I went up the back stairs and down the hall past my mother, who was putting white stuff on her face and things in her hair like she always did at night at the dresser in her bedroom. Good night, sweetie. I started to say good night back, but I got stuck on the hurt G, and I knew if I ever got the G out of the N would also give me trouble. So I just kept on walking down the hall to my room with my breath stuck in me and not feeling like fooling with a bunch of tricks, seeing as how it was at the end of the day and I was tired. Ma'am put my dirty clothes and towels down the laundry chute when I had finished in the bathroom and then came to my room. She patted my foot when I got in the bed and turned out the lights on her way out. Ma'am had stopped giving me goodnight kisses on the top of my head a long time ago without me asking. You never had to tell Ma'am what you were thinking like you did with regular grown-ups. She always knew on her own. Okay, so this was the end of chapter 1. I'm going to continue from chapter 2 next time. See you later. Bye.